In today's video, I'm going to be discussing an attempt to boost Social Security checks with a simple change. I have all the details for you here in the video. Let's get into it and discuss what's going on. First off, thank you so much for liking and sharing this video with those buttons down below. I really do appreciate it. Also, if you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel as well with the big subscribe button right down below the video. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support, and thanks for watching the video. All right, so let's get into it and talk about this, as this is back yet again, and they're talking about implementing this one change that would ultimately, maybe boost Social Security checks a little bit more. But I also want to bring it to your attention because I think they're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of resources on something that's really not going to be all that beneficial to the beneficiaries. But maybe it would translate into higher checks to some degree, but not all the time, okay? All right, so, by the way, I want to throw this out there really quickly. What I'm talking about here in this video pertains to all beneficiaries that receive benefits from Social Security. You know the list, right? I say it all the time in the videos. You ready for it? I'll say it again really quickly. Social Security retirement, SSDI, disability, survivors, spousal, SSI, and even VA beneficiaries, okay? So all these people, well over 70 million people that receive these benefits, okay? So this pertains to everybody. All right, so anyway, as we know right now, the COLA, right? The COLA. We're talking about the COLA again. Yeah, I know, okay? But anyway, the COLA is adjusted each year because of inflation in the third quarter over the third quarter of the previous year, and the difference in change is the COLA for the following year. So it's always lagging significantly behind. So we're literally getting a raise based on past inflation, and we're always behind. So again, no surprise whatsoever right there. But anyway, you've heard me say this 1,000 times before in all the videos. It's based on the CPI-E, right? The Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. But wait, I don't hear anything in that definition right there of a fixed income or senior or elderly person or a person with disability. I don't see anything in that definition that says anything about that. It says urban worker and clerical, or urban wage earner and clerical worker. Nothing to do with a fixed income beneficiary, right? Okay, so that's what it's currently being used at. That's what they use to determine it. And that's been going on since 1975. So what is that? 49 years ago? Is that 49 years ago? I think so. Yeah, I think that's about right. 49 years ago as we sit right now in 2024, okay? But anyway, so the other talk is to change it from the CPI-E to the CPI-E, Consumer Price Index for the elderly. Now that sounds about right. Yeah, I think so, right? That kind of fits the tab as far as Social Security beneficiaries and people with disabilities kind of fits in, right? Now, one of the quick distinction between the CPI-E and CPI-E. The CPI-E has a higher weighting into different categories of inflation, like healthcare and transportation and housing and food and medical, things like this that seniors, elderly, fixed income beneficiaries generally spend their money on, right? Because here's the thing. Does an urban wage earner and clerical worker spend the money the same way that a senior or fixed income beneficiary does? No, absolutely not, right? So the measure that they've been using is not the best, but the CPI-E is possibly a better measure. But here's the problem, and why I said earlier that I think that they're spending way too much time, way too much effort, and way too many resources trying to implement this or discussing, bringing it up, when really they could be allocating that time, money, and resources to something else that'd be way more advantageous to the beneficiary, okay? If you look over long periods of time, I'm talking 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of time, the CPI-E, yes, does outpace the CPI-W in inflation sometimes, not all the time. But if you look at a long-running average on this, the CPI-E only outpaces the CPI-W by about 1.5 to maybe 2 to 2.5% over long periods of time. My point is, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to dismiss a 1.5 to even 2.5% additional raise to our benefits, but that is not going to cut it. I'm sorry. An extra 2.5% raise to our benefits would not cover the bills, okay? That's not going to pay the bills. It's not going to put the food on the table. For example, let's just say it happened to be an extra 2.5%, okay? 2.5% on a $1,000 monthly benefit is $25 a month. That's it. It's not much, $300 a year, okay? That's all that would really translate into. What beneficiaries really need is, well, first off, accurate reporting of inflation, what inflation is really doing based on price increases of goods and services that people are buying. So we need, number one, accurate reporting. We also need adjustments that are a little bit more timely, okay? Like I said earlier, the COLA each year is based on the third quarter of the current year over the previous year, and the difference in inflation, that averaged inflation for those 3 months, is then applied for the COLA the following year. Does that make a whole lot of logical sense? No. Not in my head anyway. I mean, who knows? What do I know, right? But my point is, that does not make any logical sense. That is so out of date, the way that they do that, right? Which, by the way, maybe you heard me talk about this before in other videos. My proposal, my way that I would want to do this is a couple different things. I would want to assess inflation on a quarterly basis. A quarterly basis. Every 3 months, we're looking at inflation. What is inflation doing? If it's going up, guess what? Your benefits are adjusted 4 times per year. 4 times per year. That's what I'm saying we should be doing. We should look at inflation 4 times a year. Every single quarter. If it's gone up, adjust benefits. Then we are getting timely raises to our benefits. Not only that, I've also said, in my opinion, we should be using a combination of the CPI-W and the CPI-E, okay? I don't like either of these measures. I'm just saying they're not that great, but they do oscillate. Sometimes the CPI-W outpaces the CPI-E. Sometimes it's the other way around. But in what I've said before, which, by the way, I've given my little proposal a name, Highest and Best Act. That's my name. I gave it that, okay? I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Highest and Best Act. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying is we should be doing. Giving quarterly COLA raises to beneficiaries. Not only that, we should be looking between the average inflation for the CPI-W and the average inflation for the CPI-E on a quarterly basis. Whoever's pacing higher, that's what we use to determine the highest and best. And we choose that one, and then we apply the raise on a quarterly basis based on the highest of the two, whatever one is pointing to higher inflation. For example, let's just say that averaged out inflation over the course of a 1 quarter time frame, with this example I'm giving is maybe, I don't know, 1.7% for the CPI-W and 2.2% for the CPI-E. In this case, we use the 2.2 for the CPI-E. Boom, you got yourself a raise on a quarterly basis. Now let's just say the next quarter rolls around. The CPI-W comes in at 2.5% and the CPI-E comes in at 1.9%. Well, then in this case, with my proposal, I'm saying the Highest and Best Act, we should be using the CPI-W in this case for the 2.5% this time, right? So we're constantly oscillating between the two to see which one paces higher, and whatever one it happens to be, we use that and apply the raise on a quarterly basis. You're literally getting 4 raises a year. That's what I'm saying. That would be way more timely. Say, oh, hey, check it out, guys. We blew it. Prices have gone up over the last quarter. We're going to adjust your benefits now accurately, right? By the way, have you ever heard this analogy before? This is actually pretty good. I really like this. And again, any pilots in the house, you can probably attest to this to some degree, right? I am not a pilot. I don't know much about aviation, but I think it's pretty fascinating, right? Apparently, I've heard this anyway. I don't know if it's totally true, but whether it's true or not, I like the analogy, okay? Apparently, let's just say that a plane is flying across the country from, let's just say, New York to Los Angeles, okay? So literally straight across the country, right? Like totally across the country. Apparently, the plane is off track like a huge percentage of the time, right? It might be 5 degrees north, it might be 5 degrees south, it might be 7 degrees one way or the other off course. And what does it do? It adjusts, it corrects, right? So the whole time that it's flying from one destination to the other, it's constantly correct, until it finally lands safely in Los Angeles. Wow, that was amazing, right? Well, not really. It just literally did its job. It flew from New York to Los Angeles, and all it did the entire time was correct course. Hey, guys, we're off 3%. We're off 3 degrees to the north. We got to adjust 3 degrees to the south. Okay, whoops, we overshot a little bit. We're 1 degree too far south. Let's adjust 1 degree to the north, okay? Again, I don't know anything about aviation. I'm just simply saying that's a pretty cool analogy, right? Same thing with the Social Security COLAs. We should be doing this every quarter. Correct. Inflation is higher, whatever it happens to be. Correct, adjust benefits, right? But again, my point is, they're talking about implementing this CPI-E. I don't think this is a great plan, okay? It's only going to translate into fractionally higher benefits, even though they act like they're doing some like charity work for beneficiaries. Oh my, this is going to boost your benefits. I would not buy into that. I would really not buy into that. I would not drink that juice, because here's the thing. It's not. It's going to translate into maybe fractionally higher benefits over long periods of time. You're not going to notice much of a difference on an annualized basis whatsoever. Maybe tiny. I mean, $1, maybe $2 if you're lucky on a monthly basis. That's it. It's very, very minimal. It's like they got to figure out a better plan. That's my opinion on it. So anyway, I want to bring this to your attention. I've been seeing in the headlines again recently where they're coming out saying, oh, here's what we're going to do. We're going to apply this new plan here, and we're going to change this for the beneficiaries. This is going to be good for seniors. No, it's not. They got to come up with a better plan. This plan is terrible. I'm sorry, okay? It's okay, but it's not going to be the end-all, fix-all for Social Security beneficiaries. Not even close. They need a better plan. Anyway, I think my highest and best act is actually pretty good, right? Quarterly raises, and then we oscillate and we choose the highest of the CPI-W versus the CPI-E on a quarterly basis. Every 3 months, you're getting 4 raises a year. And higher, whatever one's higher, that's what you get. Make sense? Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Hope this helps you. Again, please, as always, subscribe down below. Totally free to do so. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, question, feedback. Again, all of which down below the video. Check out the other videos here on the channel, the thousands in the video library, the ones I've hand-selected for you down below in the description or the top of the comment section. And right now, popping up your screen as well. You'll see some videos there. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Take care. Have a nice day. Take your selection now. Watch that next video. And I'll see you again.